Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into round number 15 of the 2018 MotoOption Supercross Series, live here on SYS TV. My name is Kellen Brauer, and tonight I am also joined by a very special guest I'd like to welcome into the broadcast booth, 2012 250 East Supercross champion, Mark Zeidler. How are you doing tonight, Mark?
Man, you say that with more confidence than I do.
Come on, you got to own it.
I can't remember.
To date, I believe. I think you're still the only pro champion to have used a D-pad to win his championship, so you can still claim that too.
But I just switched away from it. I'm giving up on my roots. I apologize to all the fellow D-padders and keyboarders.
Are you still doing the thing with the foot pedals and the iRacing, or just the foot pedals where you're,
yes.
What was it, your gas and your brake?
Yep. It's my gas and my front brake.
Oh my gosh, such a weird setup. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Foxborough, round number 15 of the series, and we're going to get 250 East action underway in just a moment. But before we break into that, obviously want to tell you guys about the lap times for your top qualifiers tonight at the Foxborough Supercross and MX Simulator. Kicking it off with the 250 East, as mentioned, it is Jack Haley on a 59.4, almost a whole second faster than Matt Burkeen on a 1.2. We remember last week those guys put on a great show for us in the Triple Crown in Minneapolis. Behind them, Phil Bull, William St. Laurent, and Garrett Hollenbeck. Also, they're all in the 1 flat range, just in the upper 10th range. And then looking at the 450 class real quick before we jump into this 250 heat race, which is coming up in a minute. Alexis Leclerc, 57.3 was your fastest qualifier, also enters tonight as your points leader. We'll talk about the 450 championship upcoming in a moment. Russ Chapman, second fastest on a 57.7. Bryce Whelan on a 58.1. Colton Mitchell, second in the championship on a 58.3, was fourth fastest. And Jesse Mullins on a 58.4 was fifth fastest. So that is your top 5 qualifiers in both divisions. And as I said, we are going to get the racing started in just a moment. And of course, going to be another good night of racing. And Mark, you've recently come back into watching some of these races, and I know you talked a little bit about, to me, how gnarly these guys are, somewhat comparatively to when you guys raced. But how do you think this track shapes up for these guys tonight in their skill sets?
I actually think this one's maybe a little bit more basic than some of the other ones.
Yeah.
A lot of the rhythm lanes, I mean, they're big options, but I think they're pretty set. It seems like it was kind of built to funnel people into the rhythm lanes more than some of the other tracks.
Yeah, there is, I would say, like 2 main rhythm sections. You could kind of call the triple the partial rhythm section, but there's the rhythm section out of the first corner, which you can see kind of in the middle of your screen, and then obviously down the left side of your screen here, the long rhythm. But as you said, kind of all funnels into one line, one fast line through there, and I would imagine both classes are able to accomplish that one line. So I'd have to agree with you. Pretty one-lined options tonight, and may not make for the best racing when it comes to catching people from far back, but it might make some closer battles as guys aren't able to separate themselves as easily.
Very true. That could be very, very exciting to watch. Hopefully we get some good racing action.
No doubt about it. Well, what are we waiting on here? Whole lot of nothing? Bunch of people arguing in chat. What else is new?
Oh, that's my favorite part of Sim.
It's MX Simulator in a nutshell. If you could pick a moment, what was your most memorable chat moment in MX Simulator? Because I know which one mine goes to, but I'd like to hear yours if you have one.
I don't know if I have a memorable moment in chat.
The one I always go to was, I have to go back to 2013 EVS Supercross Open, and Devin Davis was trying to make it in to the main event in the 250 class, I think it was, and got punted for the lead on the last lap by Ludwig Botten. And as a retaliation by Devin, he rode backwards down the start straight trying to get Botten, instead ran head on to Jeremy Hinners, then wrote in chat, die, and then the N-word, and then disconnected. It was amazing.
That's a pretty good one, yeah.
It was classic Devin Davis. It was so funny. It was just another one of them chat moments, I'm telling you. Oh. All right. Well, not sure what we're waiting on. They said they grabbed UIDs like 5 minutes ago already, I think. I wasn't even in here for it. But they did grab UIDs, right, Mark? I'm not mistaken with that?
I wasn't in here for it either.
Oh, jeez. Here we go. Already running into issues. Looks like they might be trying to build scripts or something. Oh, here we go. Format has popped up. Back to the standard format this week with 2 heats in each class. And then the LCQs and the main events, as opposed to last week where we saw the 3 main events in each class when it was the Triple Crown format at Minneapolis. They're just going through, it's basically the riders meeting here where they mentioned in chat some of the rules, some of the blue flag rules, the program on the evening, general musings, I would assume. And so we'll get racing here in just a moment. Like I said, 250 East Heat number 1 will come up first. I'd imagine it will not feature your fastest qualifier, Jack Haley, as usually they're seeded into the second heat. But we'll obviously have to wait and see. Let's talk about the 250 East Championship real fast while we have the moment to do so. Jack Haley, 159 points entering this round. He is up. That is 43 points on Edward Mora. So Haley actually has an opportunity to clinch this championship tonight, as next week we are back west for Salt Lake City. So as long as Haley leaves with a 26-point or more gap over Edward Mora, who, well, Matt Burkeen also 3 points back of Mora, those two could delay the party for Jack Haley, but otherwise could be Haley's to wrap up. And I know, Mark, you've watched a little bit of Haley and some of the riding that's been going on. I mean, is it even possible Haley loses that many points tonight to not be able to wrap it up? That's looking at losing, 18 points to not wrap it up?
Anything's possible, but he has been pretty solid, always up front, usually able to stay out of trouble in the first few laps, which is really probably the most important part to having a good race. Yeah,
I would have to say that he gets pretty good starts regularly, so it's tough to bet against him starting back in the field, but you're right, anything could happen. And theoretically speaking, he could even have an internet issue. We've seen this happen before. Just 2 years ago, we saw Hunter Root, while in the lead of the 450 championship, have a Windows update. That is one thing that these riders have to contend with. Maybe not a quote-unquote mechanical failure, but I guess you could call it a mechanical failure, right? It is your machine.
It's like a failed spark plug, an electronics issue.
Someone stole my ECU off of my bike. What the heck?
Exactly.
All right, well, any moment now we'll be starting. Here we go, 250 heat number 1. Looks like it's about to line up, and there's only 12 riders in it, so not a big stacked class. Well, we should still see some good racing. Only 9 riders transfer to the main event. And anything could happen. When we thank you guys for joining us tonight, obviously give a big shout out to MotoOption Clothing, the title sponsor of this series for the 7th year running. Definitely would recommend checking them out. They've been a huge supporter of MX Simulator for a long time. They do clothing, they do accessories, they do graphics, they do decals on a number of things. They make all sorts of apparel that's customizable as well. So MotoOptionClothing.com is your source for all your clothing and accessories needs. For any MX Simulator fans out there, check them out. You have a couple things from MotoOption, I'm sure, right, Mark? Maybe not. Either way, we are going to get this 250 East Heat number 1 underway at the end of this parade lap. Or not at the end of the parade lap, before the guys have even made it through the first corner. 6 minutes plus 1 lap on the docket for these guys here, and we We see Jack Haley lined up down the inside, Edward Moore on the far inside. So actually our 2 championship leaders both in this heat race, and we are set to go racing in Foxborough. How about the good start for the 367? That is not going to get the whole shot. David Wright led him into the first corner, but it is Dylan Copeland out the other side who actually does get the whole shot. Ivan Medina sits second, Edward Mora, Caden Speck, Tyler Lang, Brett Powers, Craig Richards, all up here. It looked like a Evergood rider that went down, and Richards gets stood up by David Wright. Looks like Powers also went down. So Copeland leads the way here very early on. Medina looks like he was just a bit short on the triple there. Lang already under attack from Caden Speck. A few riders getting into the mix here. Looks like everybody's kind of funneling to that inside line. And remember, this is also the first opportunity these guys have had on the track all evening long with a road on. They have just come out of the 1-hour qualifying session for the pros. They just got the track an hour ago, and they've been qualifying ever since, but on a track that does not erode. So we'll see lines beginning to develop, and that'll certainly throw a wrench in the plans for some riders who maybe got accustomed to the track without the erode settings. You can already see a few lines developing.
Road easily has to be the biggest storyline of the year, really. Huge game changer in terms of how you race. Also, the riders have been doing a fair amount of testing during the races and figuring out how it plays out.
Yeah, well, even beyond the riders, the admin, the hosters of the event are also kind of doing some playing around with the erode as well as Lang goes around a downed Ivan Medina. They've been kind of switching back and forth between settings each week. We've seen them run as high as 1.5 for erode and as low as 0.5, and there are somewhere in between that tonight, I think, maybe exactly on 1. But definitely the track already wearing in just a little bit. Tyler
Lang down.
Yeah, again before the finish line, and that caused a group of riders to go through, including Medina, who also went down again. So that's going to shuffle around a few more guys inside of the top 5. It is still Copeland leading. He is not going to get the Supercross triple this lap. Pass for third as Caden Speck gets around David Wright. Looks like an update from the one and only Checkers, Chris Riesenberg, in chat is that supposedly Alexis Leclerc missed UID grab. Not too sure, can't confirm that yet as we have not seen the start of the 450 heats yet. But that would be a huge championship shakeup. Copeland continues to lead. It would be disappointing. We have a very close championship battle. We'll discuss it a little bit more in depth as we get into the racing in the 450 class. But yeah, Colton Mitchell still keeping things close. That would really kind of throw a wrench in Leclerc's chances at winning a title this year. Who's impressed you more between Leclerc and Mitchell this season, would you say, Mark?
As far as in the races?
Yeah, I think just overall. Speed-wise, consistency.
This is my first time ever seeing Colton Mitchell race was, 5-6 weeks ago whenever I decided to watch one. But I thought Leclerc had really upped his game as far as the consistency side of it went since I was playing. Although Colton is seems like he doesn't get through the first laps as well as Alexis does.
Yeah.
He's always coming from behind.
Well, Leclerc gets those just patented really good starts every time with the suspension compression technique that he uses. It's tough to beat.
Yeah, it helps him out a lot. I mean, but even in Seattle, he rode really smart in the ruts and got a pretty dang good finish out of it. I mean, he was trying lines out front before the guys behind him were were picking up that they should move out of the lines. He picked up on it actually pretty early, and I always thought that racecraft was probably one of the weakest parts of his game. So I was surprised to see that.
Absolutely. We'll see more of Leclerc and Mitchell coming up. As Copeland goes down with the race lead, that's going to hand it over to Craig Richards. So the Aussie goes to the front. Copeland will regain the second place position as William St. Laurent was not able to get there in time. Oh, but then Copeland goes down. So St. Laurent goes through, and Copeland, 2 corners in a row, hits the deck. Slides from the lead back to 5th.
It's never good. It's hard to get that rhythm going again after you go down.
Yeah, it looked like he struggled into the next corner, still kind of getting a couple hiccups in the whoops. Maybe the a road coming up to bite him a little bit as well. We're already seeing some of these ruts developing in the corners, but the whoops are arguably the section that gets chewed up the most during these races. They get really cupped out, get some hard edges in them, and see riders crashing them a lot as Lang gets landed on by Speck. So Copeland's going to get another spot back there. So Richards, the Australian, leads this thing, number 74. Working lap number 6, and we are just past the time marker, so he's actually going to get the white flag this time by. Richards, of course, a former winner in this 250 East Region division, actually took the championship all the way to the line back in 2013. Just missed out.
So this is the Craig Richards from Australia then?
Yes.
Okay, I remember him.
Yep. Been around a while, has Craig, but still chugging along, taking it on to the young guns that make up a majority of this 250 class these days.
Yeah, a lot of names I don't recognize racing out here.
Good to see some old flavor still kicking some butt at the front, though, as Richards is looking like he's going to cruise this victory home as he crosses the mechanics area and comes down the whoops one final time, looking solid as a rock. So here it is, number 74, Craig Richards takes the win in 250 East Heat number 1. He will lead St. Laurent to the line, Lang in 3rd, Copeland 4th. Here is your points leader, Haley, down in 5th, trying to get up as David Wright's looking inside. They're going to go side by side, and actually Haley gets into him and falls over. How neither of them got a fall off, I will never know. But Wright trying to hold on to that position will lose it. Haley gets it back in the final corner, gets 5th. Wright will end up in 6th, Speck 7th, Medina 8th, and Edward Mora is trying to hold off Brett Powers. And this would be a disaster for Mora, who enters the night 2nd in the championship. He has got to make it through out of this. Through the whoops one final time, couple huckabucks here and there, but he will make it through the final corner and go to the main event by about a half a second over Brett Powers. All right, cuts are in, and he will indeed hang on to that spot. So it was Powers, 479, and a couple other riders not going through. Very small list of riders that will make up this LCQ tonight, so very few people going home unhappy in this 250 class. Not the same will be said for the 450s. I believe we will have a full gate there. But that's just the product of getting later in the season, less and less guys still playing the game or readily available. Heck, we saw this even back in the days you won the championship, Mark. There was a little bit more of a depleted field back then too.
It was more depleted, more spread out, but you always had a full gate without having to pay. I think the money is direct cause of this, but I think the quality of competition, benefits from having to pay a little bit to play.
I would agree, and also the competition at all exists because of the pay to play. It's been noted for a while now that I think the RF guys would have not continued 3 or 4 years ago if they did not go to a pay-for-play system, so they chose to do so, and yeah, kept them around. All right, heat number 2, 6 minutes plus 1 lap. Again, these guys, top 9 go to the main event. All others go to the last chance qualifier, as mentioned. Matt Burkeen in this one. We saw him last week put on a show. We got Phil Bull, Devin Davis, and the rest set to go in Foxborough. Good start for Burkeen. Let's see if he closes him off into turn 1. He will, and a little crash on the inside caused a stack up. Neil Wells nearly grabbed the whole shot, but it is the 8 of Matt Burkeen. Preliminary taking the lead, but Wells jumps onto him. Bull is into him as well, and Bull with Parks coming out. Parks takes the lead. Slides it around, and the 64 R-Force 8 machine out front of the 40 Team Volcom. Phil Bull right in tow, and they get together and they're both down. Parks stays up, but Burkeen gets into him, and Devin Davis goes to the lead. And we got a really tight 4-rider train mixed in. These first laps are always chaotic, aren't they, Mark?
Extremely. Be out on track trying to fight through this. You have just enough control that you think you can stay out of it, but you never can.
And just one small mistake, some guy gets a little cross-jumped or maybe slides out in front of you like Davis did with the lead right there.
Yep.
And suddenly you're from the lead to 12th, especially on these early laps. How about this 4-rider train out front, though, as Gatlin momentarily takes the lead. Davis looking back inside will get it back, though.
It's a very nice clean pass.
Yeah. Gatlin, I think, gave him plenty of room there, but Davis still cut it low. Hollenbeck also in the mix, and he's going to go by Gatlin, as will... Gatlin goes by into second, so that was... Wait, what? Oh, there's Dylan and Jack Gatlin. They're confusing me. So the Gatlin mix is up at the front, not brothers, apparently. Although very similar last names, not quite the same. Dylan Gatlin moves into second behind Devin Davis, who continues to lead on to lap number 3. So these two have kind of separated from the rest of the field. The chaos has settled down. Owen Hillman, Daniel Batchett back here, Garrett Hollenbeck, Neil Wells, and Ethan Parks looks like he is in the final transfer spot. Burkeen trying to get there. What's kind of the mindset for these guys, Mark, as they settle into a pace, working their way into a transfer spot? Just going for it, I guess, or what?
No, just repeat, don't crash in your head constantly as you're driving around. Whatever you do not crash. Do not, I guess you got to be smooth enough to not mess up a rhythm lane where you can get landed on like what just happened. But you also need to not take risks. If you're in the transfer ban, you're good to go. It's hard to catch and pass someone in the game because when you push, that's when the mistakes come in. While you can make a small mistake on a real bike, even a small mistake here in MX Simulator, it just multiplies so much more, and it becomes a big mistake in a hurry. No
doubt about it. We just saw Burkeen and Parks getting together, and they both were in transfer spot when we were talking about them. Now they are both out of it. So kind of resetting things here for just a moment. Davis still leads from Gatlin in third. Hillman, Batchlet, Wells in 6th, Hollenbeck 7th. Bull coming through in 8th, and then a pretty hefty gap back to Jacob Melton, who is right in front of Matt Burkeen, and Burkeen tips it over, and he's off the bike. Those fall-off crashes will get you, Mark.
That was a greedy pass attempt. I don't know if that tight little corner like that is a pretty tricky spot to get a pass done if you're going to jump into it. And it's out again!
I know, Melton just went through up and over the bars in 9th, and Burkeen but down behind him, so that allows Braden Carter through into 9th and has a big gap behind him now as his teammate went down while in transfer. Ooh. Oh, Burkeen and Parks together again.
This is for dead last, too.
The battle for dead last. P11 between Parks and Burkeen. I think this all started when they got together the first time, and I don't think Burkeen's too thrilled about what happened there.
I would appear not so.
Sticking with it for just a minute to see if...
It's coming.
Well, Burkeen jumps over him, yeah. I think Parks wanted to come back, though.
Yeah.
He had that panic rev slide out. Like, oh, I gotta get him!
We've all been there.
Yep. All right, change for the lead. Dylan Gatlin has taken it over from Devin Davis. So not sure if there was a mistake out of Davis or if Gatlin just got the pass done and has moved on. But the 134 machine looking strong up front. These two have definitely separated from the rest of the field. Here is Owen Hillman in third. And he himself has a pretty good gap back to Jack Gatlin. So the front group has all been pretty well separated by this point. Then we get to this battle between Batchelot and Carter, which is a good one. This is for fifth. Well, Carter, well, he was looking inside, but Batchelot shuts the door. They go nose to tail through the first corner here. Go on board, actually, is Braden Carter. Sends the triple in, and he is up and over the bars, and uh-oh, he might be stuck in the Davlos bales here. Let's see if he is...
That's going to be costly no matter what.
Backing through them. Yep, and he is now back into this battle, I believe, for the final transfer spot.
You got it.
Melton, his teammate, comes up behind him, and Melton slides it down, so there goes Phil Bull. And you can see Matt Burkeen lurking in the background. If any of these guys crash once more, he will be right in this mix. So Bull occupies that final transfer spot, and he is just trying to hang on. Jacob Melton wants to get it back after a rough little sequence there, and then Burkeen starting to inch his way forward. Back up front as Dylan Gatlin is going to take us to the line here. A solid race. Caught and passed Devin Davis and just scooted right away at the front. And how about it? The 134 of Dylan Gatlin is your winner in heat number 2 here. Great victory for him. Hillman third, Batchelot fourth, Hollenbeck fifth, Gatlin 6th, Wells 7th, Carter 8th, and Phil Bull is still in 9th, and he has a decent sized gap now over Melton. So unless some crashing happens, I think this is going to be the transfer spots here, Mark.
Yeah, they look pretty set. This is where Phil Bull is just repeating in his head repeatedly, don't crash, don't crash, don't crash, don't crash.
How about this battle coming to the final corner? This is for 6, and they all get stood up, and how did nobody go down as Carter hangs on over Wells and Gatlin, and Bull will transfer to the main event. 3 riders into the corner at the same time, where they all come through safely on the other side, is a very, very rare occurrence in MX Simulators. So you just saw something. It's like the golden snitch. You guys barely saw something that happens once in a blue moon. Woo!
I do like to see that kind of racing.
No doubt about it. It's intense action. Those guys were comfortably in transfer spots, so they had no real reason to go full send there, but putting on a show for you guys here tonight. All right. So here we are, moving on to the 450 class at round number 15 of the MotoOption Supercross series in MX Simulator. 450 heat number 1 coming up, and again, joining me in booth 250 East Supercross champion from 2012. It's a throwback night as Mark Zeidler joining us. And Mark, it's time for the Battle Royale in the 450 class. We're about to find out officially if Leclerc did or did not miss UID grab. But how about
that, he came in chat, he said that he was being DDoSed.
Oh.
So that would be extremely disappointed if they didn't make an exception to the rule here for him.
No doubt about it. And it certainly leads you to believe that maybe someone on the other side of the championship would have something to do with that.
Colton seemed defiant about it. I saw Shipley, or was it Shipley or Seabolt, comment that he thought it was BS that he would miss it, or that maybe he was saying it was BS that he was being DDoSed. Maybe I just took it the wrong way.
Okay, so it looks like, according to Stream Chat, Johan confirmed he was being DDoSed, and they apparently have it sorted to the point where he should be in this race. I might have timed out here.
Just looking through the entries now, and I do not see him.
He could be
in Heat 1.
Yeah, it could be in the second heat, but of the runners that are in 450 heat number 1, just going across the top of your screen right now, we have last week's winner Jeremy Smith in this one as well, and quite a few others, which I didn't get to just yet. But hopefully, as you said, Leclerc, we get that all sorted out for heat number 2, and he can go racing tonight with the rest of the boys. But it is time to drop the gate for the 450 classes at Foxborough. 450 heat number 1 on the line. 9 going through to the main event. Let's find out right now who's going to get the whole shot. 48, so across. No, it is Dickerson who comes out with the whole shot, but he might cough it up. No, he hangs on. And it's a cluster behind him, Jeremy Smith and then Zoe Cross. So Cross came out right there in third. Seabolt and Shipley. Shipley's going to get around Seabolt, make that pass. Everybody tripling into this rhythm section here. Actually, Seabolt quadding in, trying a different line, it seems. Oh, and Blakely gets into the back of Seabolt. Here's Bryce Whelan right behind him. How about this train at the front, though? Shipley looking inside on Smith, then Smith gets crossed up, and Seabolt goes around the outside almost of both of them. He's going to go inside on the whoops here, side by side with Smith, and they're right behind Zoe Cross, as Dickerson will lead us across the line on lap number 1, and then an absolute freight train behind him. This is some of the best riders in the world competing here. Oh, Cross loses the front wheel, and it takes Smith with him. So Seabolt's going to slot into second. Shipley also able to avoid the crash, get in a third. Whelan and the 35 of Roy Mitchell? No, Tyler Lewis.
Tyler. He's off the track now.
Yeah. Safely re-enters. There's a little bit of a gap after that crash that Zoe Cross slid out in first corner and kind of caused. So Dickerson out front. Oh, and then he loses it, tucks the front end, and gets stood up, and now Seabolt gets into him. Oh, and then Shipley crashes onto Seabolt, and so they're on top of each other now. Seabolt's trying to drag himself out from underneath of Shipley, and then Eaglin goes down with Klein right behind him, and now there is literally a freight train. There's 4 or 5 guys all going into the same corner, much less the same section. There's about 8 of them in a row now going through the whoops. And it's being led by Bryce Whelan, who moved into third momentarily. He goes down, and Robert Wilson has gone to the lead as Dickerson coughed it up. So it is pandemonium in Foxborough.
What is happening? I did not expect to see this type of racing.
No doubt. These guys are all over the place. Dickerson down the inside. Closes them off and still triples in from the inside, but they're still side by side. Oh, man.
Wilson's got to give it up here. He's going to get T-boned. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Cuts under. He gets a drive in the whoops as he tried to get him into the next corner. He's sizing him up. Dickerson with the square under and gets it back.
And a big whip to boot.
Nice. Even had a little bogle whip going on there with the leg hanging off, and he's down back onto the start straight. So Wilson goes back by. There goes Shipley. Smith cuts through, and then Lewis with Klein right behind that. Great racing here in 450 heat number 1 at Foxborough, and it is far from over. We are just yet halfway through as Dickerson slides down, gets T-boned by Lewis and over the berm. Chase Blakely. Sean Klein is down. Eaglin gets back into Lewis as Seabolt, and then the 73 of Like goes on through as well. Also in the mix is Jake Warden. He got around all of that. Woo!
Dickerson really having some trouble keeping her upright early in this race.
Yeah, he was smooth sailing at the front and then crashed his way back to this battle with Wilson, who is now under attack from his teammate Jeremy Shipley. On the same team, just a little bit different bike scheme here. Shipley with a black and yellow Suzuki, a blue and yellow Suzuki underneath Robert Wilson.
Shipley looks to be a little more confident in the corners than Wilson, not as hesitant.
Look at this down the inside, trying to maybe size him up there, but couldn't quite get it done. You can see Jeremy Smith on the 4. He is lurking in the background. A couple different options through this first line. Looks like everybody's doubling in, but then, oh, Shipley! He loses the front end. Maybe pushing it.
Dickerson must have had a cut. He was
hard.
posted as he went past Shipley.
Interesting. Yeah, no Dickerson inside of the top 15, much less. Or what happened?
He's showing P2 for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, he's back now. Right ahead of Bryce Whelan, but still behind Robert Wilson, who is still leading this thing. Oh, Dickerson a little crossed up, has Whelan right behind him. Then we got Siebold and Smith. Battle of a couple two-time 250 Supercross champions battling it out here for 4th. And Shipley behind them. Blakely, Klein, Like, Hubbard, and then Lewis. Lewis trying for the Jason Anderson line. Gets around Like, who is down. Check out this battle up front, though. These guys will be hitting the white flag next time by, and Wilson looking to pick up his first career 450 heat race victory here. Gotta hang on for a little less than a lap and a half. Oh, but he slides out. He will lose the lead as Dickerson goes through.
Dickerson's been comfortably out front, and then he's been comfortably not in a transfer position, and now he's back.
Yeah.
It's all about that rhythm, man. He had a couple of rough laps there where he didn't have anything going for himself, but got it back together and drove back to the front.
No doubt he looks wild fast tonight, but wild is the key word there. He is pushing and kind of all over the place here, so we could maybe see one more crash out of him before this race is over.
It's a definite possibility, isn't it? Wilson now having some trouble after a couple crashes.
Well, yeah, coughed up the 2nd spot to Siebold. Wilson still fairly comfortable in 3rd. Dickerson here on the last lap. He's off the track. Gets back on. Some lapped riders.
There's a real
here.
chance he could lose this on cuts.
That is true. Getting hung up in this corner a little bit. Got a lapper right behind him who is pushing awful hard. And through the final set of whoops here, a little bit of kick here and there, but Dickerson will survive it, and Isaiah Dickerson wins 450 heat number 1, just
oh boy, oh boy.
Siebold to the line, who goes backwards down the side of the track, jumps off safely though. Wilson, Whelan, and Smith in the top 5. Looks like that is what they will stay. Here comes Shipley, but he is not going to get to Jeremy Smith. Blakely in 7th. Like 8th, and Lewis 9th. Is he going to beat Sean Klein? Lapper in between the two. Final corner, and Lewis to the main event. Klein out. Eagland also out. Carlo, Cross, who had a great start. Reed Young, Casey Ohlert, Jake Warden, who was in transfer spot at one point. Hubbard, Dar, Fry, and 19 guys started this one. That was a pretty good start to the 450 action tonight, huh, Mark?
It was definitely exciting.
Can't get much better than a freight train of 8 or 9 riders all exchanging positions.
Yeah, for a couple laps there was the entire transfer, all the transfer spots lined up in a row, going at it. A lot of crazy racing there, a lot of crashing, a lot more crashing than I expected for certain.
I think what it showed is that the track actually does have a few places for passing opportunities. It's not as one-lined, I guess is the right word. It's kind of more, you can follow through some sections, but then you can set guys up, use some inside lines here and there, and it still works out just fine. So that's good to see that the track isn't completely worn in to be a one-lined racetrack just yet.
No, it looks like it's wearing in pretty well. You see a couple ruts forming in a few corners. Not that this inside one is necessarily usable, but it definitely, if you have position, it's easy enough to hold it.
Right.
And not just take the guy out to pass him.
As is so often with MX Simulator these days. I can't pass someone, well, just take him out.
That's always been the case, though. Looks like Alexis is in heat number 2.
All right, so heat number 2 coming up, and we should not only have Leclerc in this one, we should also have second and third in the championship standings. Colton Mitchell and Jesse Mullins should also be on the line in this one. So we will wait to confirm, but I believe that's going to be the case.
You would be correct.
All right,
looks like Spencer Turley had a nice night qualifying.
These guys,
the 6th overall qualifying.
Yeah, Turley's been killing it lately. He had a great ride last week too. Kind of getting into his late season form here a bit is Turley. Very fast rider, but struggled very bad at the beginning of this year with starts and even getting into the main event. Now that he's done so consistently, he's been putting it up into the top 10 week after week. We'll see how he does tonight. But he has to complete step number 1, and that is make it into the main event. 9 going through here. It is 450 Heat 2 at Foxborough. Going out on the 30, wheelies down the straight and into the first corner. It is a MV Films 1-2-3 as Adam Holm actually grabs the whole shot. Right there with Cohenauer, Devin Ryan around the outside, and then Race Carlin. So Ryan actually breaks up that MV Films 1-2-3, but then we got Fowler, Zaworski, Ritzler, French, and then Mitchell. Trevor Doiron also in the mix, then Turley right behind Mitchell, who's going to make a few passes through this rhythm lane. Actually lands on Nathan Zaworski, who like underflips out and lands it. That was insane.
Alexis Leclerc off to a terrible start. He was a good 30 to 40 feet outside of turn 1, and he's just getting remounted and going in 15th position.
Wow.
Coming over the second triple. Into a mess, and he's down again.
Three wide over the Supercross triple. Absolute chaos here early on, and we're going back to find Leclerc. Here's Tyson Fresquez, and then Leclerc, who for some reason doesn't have any of his skins tonight. Maybe that's a product of the DDoS that we mentioned earlier, as Fresquez slides it down.
Possibly he didn't have time to set it up, yeah.
Yeah.
So Fresquez, your fast qualifier, all the way back in 16th. Not a good start to the race for him.
No doubt about it. Leclerc in 12th, so still outside looking in. I'd also be curious if he doesn't have his skins, if he might not have also gotten a setup red in time. Might have an old setup or something. I don't know. Could be.
You can load that once you're in the server, though. You can't go out, exit, and change your skin.
It's true.
Or you would be nervous too, I'd assume.
So Leclerc moves up into 10th behind Matthias Janis.
Did you catch that line? That was interesting.
Yeah, he like used the opposing section tabletop as a berm.
Yeah.
Finding the lines is Leclerc, the crafty Frenchman, and he's actually going to go into a transfer spot here as there is some contact between Zaworski and another rider in the final corner. So Leclerc gets around Zaworski as well. He's right behind Matthias Janis. And Janis slides down, so Leclerc gets into him. Ryder goes through, and Leclerc gets all sorts out of shape through the first rhythm section. Looks like he's going to hold on to that spot, though. Up front, Adam Holm. Won a couple heat races earlier on in the season. As of late, has been amidst a intense battle for third in the championship between himself and Jesse Mullins. He has got a comfortable lead working here, and it is his teammates, Jeremy Cohenauer and Race Carlin, battling it out for second. So optimal positioning for the MV Films guys right now, but they've got to watch out for second in the championship. Colton Mitchell, who is coming up from behind.
Good opportunity to see how Colton Mitchell handles moving up through the pack. Looks like he's a little quicker than these guys.
Yeah, triples in before the Supercross triple there. Let's see if
gotta
he's
be
able
smart to get around him, you know.
Yeah, these guys, some of them quadding in. Looks like all of them actually quadded in right there. Mitchell using a couple different lines, maybe sizing Carlin down the inside here. Almost gets into Cohenauer, but actually gets the pass completed on Carlin. Now down the inside and ends up side by side, almost touching helmets with Cohenauer. A little bit one line down the inside there. Oh, nearly contact with Cohenauer, and now Carlin might get back by, might get them both, and he gets into Mitchell. Both riders down in the middle of the track at the end of the whoops. That's going to allow the 31 of Gebhardt, it looks like, to go through, and Mitchell gets up ahead of Carlin. Here's the 33 of Armstrong. Doiron, then Mullins, Janis, and then Leclerc. So take a look at Leclerc. He is 10th and has Devin Ryan right behind him. Not the ideal start to the night for Leclerc. Talked about, sounds like he may have received a DDoS attack. Wasn't able to load his skins, obviously, and now he is trying to just qualify out of this heat race to get into the main event tonight.
As bad as it sounds, there's actually plenty of people behind him. Spencer Turley and most notably fast qualifier Tyson Fresquez, who is actually last in the heat race right now.
Ugh. Been a rough year for Fresquez as Race Carlin was down, so Leclerc gonna go on through. Ooh, and Ryan gets into Carlin. Oh, actually Leclerc goes down, so Devin Ryan goes back by. Is Carlin gonna get by too as he tries to jump over him, and he will. So just when it looked like Leclerc was gonna have that transfer spot to himself, he loses it again. Looking down the inside of Carlin. Pushes him wide, pushes him down.
That's on Carlin, though, man. He was up alongside him the whole whoop section.
Should have known for sure. Definitely still tried to force it into the rut and just incidental contact. Let's head back up front for the moment as we see Holm continues to lead, but how about Gebhardt moving into second?
Kona right on him, too. Oh, and there's a mistake from Adam Holm.
Yeah, looks like they're getting around the lapped rider of Tyson Fresquez. So Holm,
Fresquez with the mistake.
well, I saw Holm also get checked up, so I think they both made a mistake. But yeah, Fresquez having a rough night as Gebhardt slides it down coming onto the start straight. So Cohenauer moves back through into second, and they both get hung up a little bit on that inside rut. Nobody seems to be getting it clean anymore. Gebhardt trying to use the rhythm section as a whoop section on track rear entry.
Hey, you made it work.
Yeah, just barely. Right in front of Fresquez, too, who ended up going down. Gets up right next to his former teammate, James Armstrong.
So here we have the different lines, a quad in and a triple in.
Yeah, it's going to work out better for
triple in
Gebhardt.
Yeah. I think the triple in's a little easier. When I was riding the track earlier, the triple in, once you had to check up a little bit to get the triple in, but other than that, you just kind of, for my gearing, it worked out that I hit one of the jumps in second gear wide open, and the next one in third gear wide open, and it was perfect.
No doubt. It seems also to be a little bit more consistent for these guys as well. The quad inline sets you up for some different sections as Adam Holm takes the win. 450 heat number 2. Cohenauer joins him in the main, as does Gebhardt, Armstrong, Mullins in 5th, Ryan in 6th, Mitchell 7th, Janis 8th, and Carlin is in 9th. Leclerc has to get Carlin in the final corner to go to the main event. He is sending it into the whoops. Nope. And he is not gonna get it? No, he will not. A second behind Carlin, so maybe cuts. But Leclerc, as it stands, is going to the last chance qualifier in Foxborough. Doiron ends up in 12th behind Turley, French 13th, Ritzler out of sorts in the whoops right here. Whoa, even more out of sorts behind her was Jack Fowler, though, as he goes down. So Ritzler 14th. Go ahead.
Anyways, that was the point I was trying to make about the rhythm lane, the triple in and then triple quad on, or whatever you want to call it. Because it's wide open, it's more consistent. There's no judgment. You don't have to judge your speed or anything or adjust it. You put it in the right gear and hold it wide open, and that's what makes it more consistent versus the quad in, and then you kind of have a little bit more timing on your throttle.
Right. Well, it also looks like some of these guys, in addition to quadding in, are also trying to quad after, and really extend the section out a little bit more, get more speed and flow going through it. And it's probably hurting them more than helping because they're crashing a lot doing so.
Yeah, those 3-footers can be tricky to get over. They're sometimes have a little bit too quick of a transition to do it all the time. And
before you know it, you are just sending it over the front of the motorcycle. And those ones are no fun, real life or sim. All right, so these guys are going to work on building the last chance qualifiers, which will feature Leclerc. I think I saw it confirmed that he is going to the LCQ. So rough night for the championship leader. We'll have to see if he can make it through into the main event or not. Here's that section Mark and I were talking about, just running you guys through it real quick. Triple on here, off, and then triple, and then these guys are able to quad onto the next table. But I'm just trashing up at the game not to.
So it looks like we have a 6-rider 250 LCQ for 4 positions.
Nice.
The 450 LCQ looks like it's going to deliver. You have Tyler Lewis, Lexus Leclerc, Spencer Turley, Tyson Fresquez, all guys with plenty of skill in order to get in, and then all the other players that you know are going to get mixed up in there.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting mix in that 450 one. Obviously, this 250 one going to be a little, say, more stagnant, boring, whatever you want to call it.
It's definitely there's potential for some boringness here.
Either way, there's definitely a few big names in this one. Burkeen, as you mentioned there, former 250 motocross champion, wants to stamp his ticket to the main. Ethan Parks as well in a transfer spot as well. Brett Powers, just to name a few. Let's go racing in the LCQ. 6 riders, 4 minutes plus a lap for 4 spots in the main event. And it looks a little funky, but let's hope it provides some good racing. Burkeen gonna do his patented front flip, I would take it.
He better.
Yes, he does.
He never disappoints.
Behind him, Cohenauer on the 2-smoke. And he is ripping that thing like no other as Ethan Parks moves into 3rd behind him. Comes up a tad
Burkeen's
short.
off the track,
oh, yeah,
actually.
Burkeen off the track. So we have a change for position. Brett Powers was down in the background at 3 riders all battling it out here for 3rd. And 2 riders battling it out for the lead, no less. Cohen, former pro motocross racer, in real life that is, not in just this game, out front. Ethan Parks trying to get around him, but Cohen holding steady. Burkeen survives some chaos behind him and front flips the finish.
I talked with Ethan Parks in between the races here, and he said that he was not real sure why Matt Burkeen was so mad at him in the heat race. So we'll see if that carries over to the LCQ now that they're both just trying to hang on to a transfer.
Yeah, very interesting dynamic in that heat race, no doubt about it. And who knows, these two might end up battling for the win or even for the last transfer spot, judging by how things are going, as Burkeen again front flips the Supercross triple, loses a position doing so. And it's Jacob Melton. Burkeen front flips in the rhythm section and actually rides out of it, makes a pass on Cohen.
Oh, I would take him out just for passing to me like that.
And Melton messes up the Supercross triple, so Cohen goes back through. No, he gets into Melton, and they're both down, and Bradley Schmidt goes with the Mitch Butler line to get around him.
This will allow Brett Powers to close up on the pack.
Yeah, Brett Powers, who was down on that first lap, now suddenly kind of mixed in. Him and Melton both outside looking in, but they can see the battle. Actually, Melton's going to go
Really
through his...
on the outside of a berm. That'll put Powers in the 5th.
He was stuck straight up and down on the outside of that berm. Not sure how he ended up in that precarious position. But it does shift a lot of things up inside of the top 4 as Melton went through, but Powers is challenging.
No front flips out of these guys. Kind of a letdown, actually.
Yeah. Oh, Powers might get the spot as Parks goes down.
Cohen not having a very good run through this rhythm lane either.
Oh my goodness, Brett Powers with the full tilt. Jimmy Albertson, Ronnie Mack style. So yeah, as you mentioned, Cohen having a rough rhythm section, lost the spot to Melton. Burkeen is all alone out front. It's really between Powers and Parks for the final transfer spot. Oh.
It would appear that Parks is quicker, but making way more mistakes than Powers. Powers is able to keep her upright more often.
Yeah.
Closing off the line at the end of the whoop section here, that's a smart move.
Yeah, it looks like Parks is set to tee him up otherwise. And these guys will have another lap. They still have about 30 seconds left on the clock. That should expire next time through. Oh, Parks nearly got into the back of Powers. That's going to set him off a little bit in this rhythm section with a alternate line. Both riders getting through the rhythm lane clean. You can hear Cohen on the 2-stroke ahead of him. Not too far away if there was a mistake out of him to get back into this mix. Oh, rider down. That's Burkeen. And Parks and Powers both go through. White flag is now waving.
You called this 4 laps ago that they were going to be battling for the final transfer.
Yeah. Burkeen and Parks makes a mistake, so Burkeen's going to try to close this thing down. Is he still front flipping? No, he is. He's in try-hard mode, as we like to say.
Oh, he'll do a front flip on the triple. He's got our backs.
So Powers is in third, but he's still a bit of a sitting duck as these two right behind him might get into a battle here. Burkeen, no front flip on the triple.
What a disappointment.
I think he wants to go get Parks. I think there's still a little bit of animosity between these two.
He's got a good line through the rhythm lane here. Here she comes after the whoops.
Oh boy. Down the inside, Burkeen's looking.
He's leaving it wide open.
Oh, no, Parks thinks better of it. Oh, but he makes a mistake. Burkeen almost gets into him. They're both going to have to double the triple. Burkeen looking inside.
Oh, they're going for it.
Looking saucy there into the next corner. He's going to have to leave it open. Melton
down to the last whoop section.
Takes the victory. Let's see. Burkeen goes full send in the whoops.
Oh, yeah.
Down the inside. Oh, and Parks hangs on. Burkeen, after winning last week, is not going to the main event.
Wow.
Wow. And Cuts finalize it as well. Woo!
That was intense.
Parks, Powers, Cohen, and Melton go into the main event. Burkeen missing out.
I think it's safe to say that Donut won the mental game in that race.
Woo. Man, how about Parks reading Burkeen like a 400-page textbook and squaring him up in the sweeper after Burkeen sent it across the inside?
That was a good move. That was a good cut back.
Whew. Well, only 6 riders in that one, and it provided some pretty good action. I can't wait to see what this 450 one's about to bring. Obviously, the big storyline in this one, your current 450 points leader, Alexis Leclerc, after being DDoSed to start the evening and then finishing 10th in his heat race, is now in a precarious position as he has to qualify through in the top 4 out of this LCQ to even make the main event tonight.
I did not catch what happened on the start last time. I see he's in the very inside gate for this one. We'll see what happens on this start. Oh, this isn't in the start, is it?
No, they're doing a parade lap, which works for me because I was timed out. Leclerc with those good starts, though. I don't know, and he's going to be able to push everybody kind of wide. Oh, unless it gets cleaned like that.
Like I said, he was out beyond the taller tough blocks, out onto the concrete on the last start. I don't know what the heck happened, but
oh man,
got some good distance out of her.
Well, let's pay attention to him on this start. Alexis Leclerc, he's going to be all the way down the inside, as you mentioned, but he needs to make it through. Your 450 points leader. It is still up in the air between him and Colton Mitchell. It's not a foregone conclusion that Leclerc could miss this race and win the championship. So he has to make it through, and we're about to find out. 4 minutes plus 1 lap away. It is a 450 LCQ from Foxborough. Gate down, Leclerc, good jump. He's getting squeezed a bit. Turley in there, and he gets closed off. Doiron is going to get the whole shot. Leclerc is right there in second. Simos and Dar backflipping through the first lane. And I thought he rode out of it, but Leclerc takes the lead from Doiron. Doiron just handed it over. No fight. Oh, and then T-bones him. There's some fight indeed, and Zaworski gets into Leclerc. There's a couple riders stacked up, and honestly, the best thing that could have happened for Leclerc was so many guys went down in that group. But it's absolute chaos in these LCQs with riders literally everywhere and more riders getting into him. Leclerc is down again, and Turley is into him. So many riders have gone by now. They're still just crashing into him. It's like slow motion crashes in the background, and 4 riders down in the same corner. But now this puts Leclerc in a tough spot. Lots of guys ahead of him that really could just go right through into this main event.
This is where cleaning out everybody when you pass them does not pay off. You need to be able to make some clean passes, or else all these guys are going to be pissed off on him and not want to let him pass.
Yeah. Oh, little chaos as Dar slid down on the start straight, so Turley now goes into the final transfer spot here. Dar, Ritzler, Fresquez, Fry, and Warden all still ahead of Leclerc, who needs to get around all these guys and then some to get into a transfer spot. He's getting a little bit of help, though. These guys are kind of mixing it up and causing some crashes. Cody Dar is down on the outside, so that's going to be another spot. Tyler Fry almost jumped onto the back of Fresquez and then went down. And then Fresquez is definitely going down here, so more spots just being given to Leclerc, who, where is Leclerc?
He had a downed rider. He is in 7th right now.
Oh, okay, I didn't see him go through, but he clearly has done so. All right, so let's reset things for a minute. It is Fowler, Doiron, Carlo, and Turley in the top 4. Ritzler is in 5th. Warden is in 6th. And Leclerc, as you mentioned, he is in 7th, and he has less than 2 minutes and a lap to get his way into transfer spot, or he will not be going to the main event tonight in Foxborough, which would be an absolute huge blow in this championship.
He's still definitely in with a chance. There's way too big of a lineup at the front of him. There's 3 guys. Okay, we got Sabrina Ritzler down after the triple.
So Ritzler,
and Alex Carlo involved in a pile-up
yeah,
with early, so I think that should put Alexis into 4th place.
Yeah, Leclerc goes into transfer, makes a small bobble here, so actually loses a little bit of time. Here comes Williams, or no, that's Carlo on Williams' bike. Look at Carlo down the inside. He takes Leclerc off the track, and Leclerc is down. Did he fall off the bike? He did not. So he loses a couple spots, gets back on right in front of Reed Young, who's jumping over top of him, almost landed on him. And who is down there? Dakota French. Leclerc is in panic mode, it seems. He is in 5th spot, and he has kind of a ways to go to get into 4th. And this is probably 2 laps to go, although it's going to be close with the leader next time by. So Leclerc in 5th. It is Turley, Doiron, Warden, and Fowler ahead of him. Reed Young and Ritzler are behind him, so we saw that Carlo just kind of sent it into Leclerc. I don't believe Carlo's going to have any more factor in this battle. And yeah, we've eclipsed the 4-minute mark, so now white flag coming out next time by. Riders down. Leclerc gets into him, and he's down. He's off the bike. Leclerc is off the bike, and he's getting past. Ritzler goes through. Dakota French nearly got him, and now it is full panic for Leclerc. He has got to get a few more spots, or it is over in Foxborough. Through the inside line to get Ritzler. Ritzler shuts the door, but Leclerc just pushes her off the track into the Davlos bales. He means business. He wants to go. Doiron and Reed Young are battling for the final transfer spot right now. So if they take each other out, they will do Leclerc a huge favor. Reed Young able to skirt away just a little bit. That is not going to bode well for Leclerc, who was hoping they would get together. Oh, Reed Young, small mistake in the whoops.
He's
gathers
right
it together.
after the whoop section. But he needs to make 2 passes in the final whoop section. This isn't going to happen.
Oh man, this is close. Doiron slides it down, so Leclerc only has to get one more spot. The winner is Fowler. Warden is going to pick up second. Turley is smooth in third. And here comes Reed Young to put Leclerc out of the main event at Foxborough. And he will do it. Leclerc down in the final corner as well, so it doesn't help his case at all. And Leclerc, your championship leader, is not going to the main event tonight in Foxborough. I cannot believe it. And I'm pretty sure Doiron crashed Leclerc in the final corner anyway. I couldn't see what happened, but I saw him flipping. What just happened?
I don't think cuts are going to have any effect on this anyways. He wasn't going to catch Reed Young from that far back through that last whoop section, although Doiron did. I mean, it was still lucky that he took him out, but he just went wide open with the intentions of making it right to the end of the next corner.
Wow. So obviously some ill intentions being spread towards Leclerc. We saw Carlo go for the send across some tough blocks, took him out. Doiron crashes in the final corner. That also put Leclerc on the deck. And cuts confirm Leclerc not going to the main event tonight in Foxborough. And for what it's worth, Reed Young didn't have any cuts either, so it would not have mattered.
Yeah. Yeah, I see in the chat they're exploding that he was taken out a lot. I guess I didn't see, was that Carlo that took him out after the first whoop section? I didn't see that as being that dirty. It looked like he kind of lost it a la James Stewart, Dallas 2012 or whatever it was.
Yeah,
13,
the only
14,
thing I will say about Carlo is that it looked very Doiron-ish. Like he just was kind of sending it instead of trying to save it. But I get your point too, is that, just a little huckabuck maybe got crossed up.
It definitely wasn't as bad, but it did appear, I guess, slightly along the same lines.
Wow. So that
So what kind of lead did he have in the points?
Well, I'm trying to find out. It won't oh, here we go. Now it shows up. Entering tonight, a 20-point lead on Colton Mitchell, which Mitchell needs to finish inside of the top 3 to take the championship lead. If he finishes outside of the top 3, it does not matter. Siebold entering third in the championship is just about mathematically eliminated, although he could keep his hopes alive with Leclerc not making the race tonight. So that's going to change things up a little bit. Perhaps a Siebold victory tonight. He could close it up. Still pretty far out of reach, but you never know.
Siebold's a threat to win every night, man. He rides so smooth and so consistently that if he gets into that rhythm and nothing throws him out of it, that he's almost guaranteed a win, I feel.
Yeah. Whew. So we had 2 crazy LCQs. I'm really looking forward to these main events now because, especially in this 450 class, championship implications are massive. The farther up that Mitchell or Siebold could finish, the better it helps their championship case. But looking at this 250 main event, we have a potential for Jack Haley to wrap it up early tonight. Really just needs to finish pretty much inside of the top 14 or so, and he should be good on clinching. But it's anybody's race. Obviously, Haley didn't have a very good heat race. Other riders had much better ones and will be looking to pick up their first victory on the season tonight. Haley has taken most of the victories on this East campaign.
Jack Haley doesn't have a great gate pick after his heat race. I could see this first turn not working out in his favor. It's not only the first turn, it's really the first, I'd say down to the first whoop section. It's really where it's the sketchiest. Everyone's still in a pack for the most part. I think I saw in one of the 450 heats, like a good 16 out of the 20 riders made it through the first 3 rhythm lanes, and then there was a big pile up right before that whoop section.
Yeah, well, these 2 rhythm lanes, we've seen how they kind of create some different lines. We thought it'd be more one line than it has been, but these different lines caused riders to kind of check each other in the rhythm sections, maybe land on each other here and there, and as you said, it creates these pile-ups midway through the first lap that take out a majority of the field. But it is time for round number 8 of the 250 East Championship here at Foxborough. The last one before the shootout in Vegas. Let's decide who's going to win in Boston. Haley, pretty good start down the inside. Batchelot led him to the corner, but Haley, he's going to get the whole shot on the 57.
Shows how much I know.
Well, he had a fairly decent gate pick down the inside, so maybe he switched in between the warm-up lap and the actual gate drop, but he comes out ahead of Copeland, who had the whole shot in the first heat race. And those 2 will lead the pack through here. Pretty
Copeland
spread
always
out.
a good starter.
Yeah, Copeland has been getting really good starts, but as you mentioned with these crashes, Mark, already kind of pretty spread out amongst the top 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah, Gatlin just coughed up 4th, and he's going to get taken out by Owen Hillman as they enter the sand corner.
Lots of riders struggling for traction in that sand corner. We got a kind of a TMFR Rocky Mountain ATV MC grouping here. They all look like they're on the same bike. They are, in fact, different teams. Up front, still Haley from Copeland and Hollenbeck, which is Haley's teammate. He sits in 3rd. Phil Bull and Lang in 4th and 5th. We got Carter, Gatlin, Melton, Hillman, and Medina rounding out. Well, Medina lost a couple spots, so it's actually Powers who rounds out the top 10. Now he falls outside of the top 10.
Pretty spread out here for just being the second lap of the race here. I think a lot of guys play it a little smarter, after they get through that initial adrenaline of the start, that they will, in the opening laps of the main event, they'll do that don't crash thing, man. Don't push. Just do the basic lines. Get through it. You got to, if you're able to space yourself out from the guys that are battling and taking each other out, it definitely pays off later in the main event.
No doubt about it, and we're seeing that happen with probably a couple of these guys battling for 2nd, 3rd, 4th or so. Just stay on 2 wheels and survive that early chaos. So beneficial in these races. It's really kind of the forgotten rule about this game, it seems like, is if you can stay on 2 wheels for the first couple laps, it's so much better for you. A lot of guys oftentimes will get good starts and push like the wind, thinking they have to get away and get a big gap, but then they crash their way back to 16th real quick.
Yeah, and you cannot make progress from there. There's just too much chaos back in the pack.
Without question, as it looks like Lang and Phil Bull came together. That's going to allow Hillman, Batchelot, and Melton through. Or I'm sorry, Carter through. Good little grouping
so
here.
Like around 4th, yeah, we got a bit of a battle going for 4th through 8th.
Tyler Lang, Daniel Batchelot, Braden Carter, and Phil Bull, and they're not too far behind Hillman.
Oh, Hillman must have made a mistake. He had a bit of a gap coming into the sand section. I know that.
Ooh, contact in the background. Phil Bull gets together with Braden Carter. They both fortunately did not fall off the bike, but they lost touch with that group we were just talking about.
So now Tyler Lang is definitely fully all over the back of Owen Hillman as he jumps off track, and now Lang to the inside. Looks like they'll funnel in and jump into the rhythm lane together. Both make it through cleanly and enter the whoops. Hillman with a mistake in the whoops, and he'll go down.
Looks like Lang was going to hit him.
Yeah, Lang and Batchelot just barely able to squeak by. And Braden Carter will hit him.
Hillman was trying to get up sideways there, and Carter had nowhere to go. Maybe a little bit of incidental contact there. Second in the championship entering tonight, Edward Mora is watching his chance at a championship go away, in such as our race leader is your championship leader, and he is well on his way out front right now. As much as Russ Chapman has dominated the 250 West region, it's been just about as equal domination for Haley on the east side. Both riders semi-veterans of the MX Simulator racing scene, looking to pick up their first professional championships.
This is the strong part of Haley's race. I have seen him fade late in the race where he starts, he makes one mistake and it just starts snowballing. That's it.
Yeah, a little bit of that compound effect that you were talking about earlier in the evening, where you get off your groove and it's so hard to get it back.
And I think lappers obviously play a role in it as well. You trying to get through those guys, and they usually let you pass the first time, but if you make a mistake and they come back past you, they don't let you back around as easily the second time.
Right. You don't want to get in this endless cycle of letting the leaders go, they crash, and then you have to let them go again. You just lose more and more time as a lapper.
Exactly. You see him playing very fair right there, moving over in the rhythm lane and letting him through.
But if you're a leader, you're thinking, just get out of the way. You're not in the battle for the lead. Move over. But, you have to think about it from both sides of the situation. As Haley goes down, yeah, it looks like he OJ'd into the corner just a touch after doubling the Supercross triple, and it caused the suspension to rebound and kick him in a bit of a 180.
You saw Ethan Parks playing the good guy there, moving over right on the start straightaway as Dylan Gatlin took advantage of him basically and made a clean pass, and now he's riding around in front.
Yeah, we see that.
Pulls over on the start straight.
See that all too often in MX Simulator 2, is riders taking advantage of the blue flag.
Well, exactly. I mean, like you said, you don't want to spend your whole race waiting for the leader, as he makes a small mistake and you're able to ride past him. And then you just, it really destroys your race if you have to wait. It's the whole rhythm thing, you got to get in that rhythm.
Very tough to keep that rhythm, too, when you have the blue flag every single lap as the lead train comes on through. Looking for a battle inside of the top 10, and so far not finding one. We got maybe a battle going between William St. Laurent, Craig Richards, Edward Mora. They're all kind of mixed together. Ivan
There's
Medina.
a battle for 7th.
Battle for 7th.
Oh, never mind. Braden Carter just threw her down in the first corner.
Never mind. Well, Braden Carter might actually work his way back into this battle I was talking about. Mora, St. Laurent, Richards your heat winner, and Medina right behind him.
Is Richards a bit like a Davalos out here?
Yeah, been in the 250 class for years.
Well, he won a heat race, and now he's struggling in a main event. I feel like I see him up front early, but that 15 to 20 laps, whatever they end up running, he struggles to put together.
Yeah, I guess you could say that a little bit. Richards has definitely had an up and down season. He's been fast at times, finished on the podium earlier this season, but also has struggled, as you mentioned, and making a couple passes here, but definitely hasn't put it all together like I think he would hope to have done so. Davala's comparison might not be the furthest stretch.
I don't mean it as much as an insult as it might come off across as. I like Craig Richards, but he's been around for a while, and it seems like he has struggles a little bit putting an entire main event together.
Yeah, I think Richards kind of suffering a little bit from call it sort of the OG effect, where these guys have been programmed to play a game or play the game one way, and with all the road settings and suspension settings that have come into the game, you have to learn the game over almost. And Richards has done a decent enough job at doing so.
Oh yeah, if you're winning a heat race, man, in any class, you're extremely fast.
Ooh, rider down, and it is a lapper, looks like. Medina makes a pass on Richards, though.
Haley's almost out to a 30-second lead.
Yeah, I was actually just looking at the leaderboard, and I'd got to imagine, judging by the times, is he's not too far behind these guys, right? Let's see, did he just pass Devin Davis?
He's coming over the finish line right now.
Yeah.
And these guys are all stacked up.
Oh, look at the huge pile up in this corner. And Haley
able to squeak around the inside.
just down the inside around all of them. Now there's 5 or 6 guys just kind of lurking behind him.
There's not even 6 guys right in front of him waiting to get lapped.
Not even 10 minutes into this thing, Haley's already lapping into the top 10. Oh my goodness, I thought Mora and St. Laurent were going to come together.
And these guys are not playing as nice as far as the moving over. They're in a line at this point, man. They're all racing for position and they're in it.
Yeah, well, that's another thing too, is the deeper you get inside of the points paying positions, like these guys inside of the top 10, they're like, I'm not moving over for the leader. I'm battling for 9th right now. What's the point of moving?
Exactly. So now he finds himself in between Richards, who's moved up to 8th, and Edward Mora in 9th. So Richards playing the good guy here, pulling over.
Yeah. That probably isn't too nice for Edward Mora to see, who is 2nd in the championship, to see the championship leader lapping you with 5 minutes still to go in the main event.
No, not a good start. Or mid-race, I guess.
So Richards, as you said, let Haley go through. Medina would be the next target. Where is 2nd place right now? It is Tyler Lang, who really has been the breakout rider of the season so far. Obviously, he has national number 71, so did decent enough last year to get a national number, but nowhere near the level of speed and consistency last year that we are seeing him put on this year. Great rides last week, another solid ride this week, maybe even a podium finish on the cards for him as well. Really good stuff out of Tyler Lang. More of those lappers getting out of the way. Looks like James Cohen moved out of the way for him. Phil Bull is coming behind Tyler Lang. Then Hollenbeck in 4th, Batchelot 5th, Hillman 6th, Medina 7th. Let's actually go back up front to Haley, and while they're on the start straight, do a quick lap through the field brought to you by the guys at Versus PC. There goes Medina, Richards, Mora. There's Braden Carter, Ethan Parks, all these guys a lap down and outside of the top 10. Dylan Copeland, Devin Davis, Dylan Gatlin, Jack Gatland. We'll see a long time before we see 2nd place.
He's just rounding the corner now. Here he comes. Here's Tyler Lang in 2nd.
David Wright, Brett
Followed
Powers.
closely by Phil Bull.
Yep, there's Lang in 2nd, Phil Bull on the 40 in 3rd. 292 is Speck, he's a lap down. 42 of William St. Laurent is also a lap down. And here comes the 227, that looks like Melton, who's also a lap down. Hollenbeck, right here, coming out of the final corner, is in 4th.
The final rider on the lead lap, Daniel Batchelot.
Yep, there's Daniel Batchelot in 5th, and then your race leader right here. So that's a lap through the field, and Haley is about to literally lap the field. He's not too far off from getting to Batchelot and Hollenbeck, which would put him lapping everybody except the podium finishers.
Have we ever seen this bad a domination? I mean, he's only 34 seconds, so I don't think he's going to be able to end up lapping the entire field.
I don't know about in the 250 class. I think in the 450 class, I've seen Fresquez a few times do things like this. But the 250 races are pretty short, so you don't normally see guys able to accomplish these leads.
If you look closely at Haley, he just turned his fastest lap of the race in the last lap.
Yeah, it looks
Not slowing down very much.
He's kind of using the road to his advantage here, too, being able to rail the corners a little bit more as he's trying to lap Daniel Batchelot.
Batchelot is not doing a good job. He's trying, but he's doing a terrible job.
Exactly. He's definitely trying, but oh man, Haley
There's
just
a mistake
made
from Fowler. Now Batchelot, I'm sure, isn't going to be like, oh, let me move out of the way more for you.
And Haley goes down, so Richards goes through, and Hillman also goes through. So now Haley is only lapped 8th as it stands, but I'm sure he'll be okay with that.
He's still maintaining a 35.1 second lead, I think. Yeah, it's not going to sweat it.
Bill Bull, Richards now up to 4th. Batchelot right behind him in 5th. Let's go on board with Batchelot. Take a look at how this track is weathered in so far. Bit short on the Supercross trip, but you can see the sand section getting dug out as well.
avoiding the inside rudder. I wonder if that one's starting to get a little deep.
Yeah, it looks like it's got a little bit of a gnarly kicker as Richards goes down in the final corner. Batchelot gets around him.
Now that allows Hollenbeck to close right up on it as well. Or they closed up on Hollenbeck.
On board with Hollenbeck. Hollenbeck with an aggressive pass takes Batchelot down, and then Hollenbeck gets hit from behind.
That's a shame that he didn't get a fall off, because that was not a smart move.
So Hillman goes through into fourth, and right in front of Hillman is Jack Haley, who is now lapped all the way up to the podium positions. You can see how deep some of these corners are getting. Oh, Hillman still stretching out the big line in this rhythm section. See, as the lines get a little bit deeper, guys are able to accomplish those lines less and less often, but Hillman's still able to get it.
Battle for fourth looks like it's pretty good. You got a couple of lappers mixed in here, but actually fourth, fifth, and sixth, or fifth, sixth, and seventh, I apologize, are right in line on the track.
Yeah, not too far behind them
each other
is Braden Carter. So Carter also pretty close and right in front of them, as you mentioned. Fourth place, Owen Hillman. There's white flag waves for these guys. Oh, Richards down. Entering the start straight, lost the front end. And that's going to cost him. So it looks like Haley will not get to lapping Phil Bull, but he still has Owen Hillman a lap down. Got Hollenbeck closing back up on Hillman in the battle for fourth. Quickly flashing up front as the man of the night and the man of the season. Here it is, number 57 on the Relaxa Tire Suzuki. Jack Haley wins the 250 Supercross in Foxborough, and he is also your 2018 MotoOption Supercross 250 East Supercross champion. The first championship we have handed out this season goes to Jack Haley. A tremendous season. It looks like Hillman beat Hollenbeck to the line, and Bull was trying to get to Lang but could not do so. And Mora, Richards, Davis ends up inside of the top 10 in 9th. Batchelot falls back to 10th. Gatlin will get 11th. Copeland is down in 12th. Lang goes by for 2nd, so Lang lands on the podium. I believe his first time this season. Copeland ends up 12th and disconnects immediately, so some frustrations perhaps. Braden Carter 13th, William St. Laurent 14th, and Brett Power is the last guy on the second, or on the, the second to the lead lap. So a lap down, but not quite 2 laps down. And confirmed, looks like Gatlin got a spot, or Batchelot lost a spot to Gatlin. And Richards got Mora on cuts, and that was it. Top 3 stayed the same. Haley, Lang, and Phil Bull.
Oh, many congratulations to Jack Haley on his title. This is, what, 2 rounds early? Or just 1 for the East?
Just 1, because next week we'll be heading to Salt Lake City. That'll be another West round, and then the East-West shootout in Vegas, so all he needed was to be 26 points or more ahead after this main event, and he is comfortably done so, as he was already 43 points ahead, and obviously the main event victory kind of helps.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt.
Man, oh man, so we are about to start the main event in the 450 class from Foxborough. Without your points leader on the line, ladies and gentlemen, this is a huge development. Alexis Leclerc, going back all the way to the beginning of the evening, it sounds like he was DDoSed and was not in the server for UID grab. Fortunately, the event organizers decided that was unfair and allowed him to race the heat races. He finished 10th in his heat race, so he did not qualify through, was forced to go to the LCQ. Then an early crash after getting T-boned in the LCQ while leading caused him to slide back out of transfer. Took him a while. He almost got into transfer, then crashed again. Then got T-boned twice with 2 laps to go, and ended up not making the main event here tonight, which is a huge blow to him. 20 points down coming into tonight was Colton Mitchell, and a further about 60 points down was Seabolt. But it is now up to them to make those points back on Leclerc. Who will do it and how will they do it? Let's find out for the 450 main at Foxborough. Watching Seabolt on the start. He got a good one, but he got pushed wide, and it is going to be the 27 of Adam Holm with the hole shot. Side by side with Dickerson into the first rhythm, but Holm gets it. Talked about Holm being in that tough battle for third in the championship, and he is off to a tremendous start here. As he takes the early lead, Dickerson off the track allows a couple riders to go through. Shipley and Whelan were the two. We're going to have to keep an eye out on where Mitchell and Seabolt are, as well as Jesse Mullins, who is also in the mix of that battle for third in the championship. But as it stands, Adam Holm is your leader, and he is trying to get away from Bryce Whelan, who comes through right here in second. Into the whoops they go. Oh, Holmes slides out with the lead, and it's going to hand Whelan the lead at the end of lap number 1. Shipley right there in third. Dickerson right behind him, nearly gets into the back of him. And now Shipley down in the first corner. Dickerson gets into him. There is the 6 of Colton Mitchell going through with the 9 of Mullins right behind him. Let's slide back a little bit further and see if we can't find where the 19 of Seabolt is. Here he is. He entered the evening on 237 points to Leclerc's 295, so pretty much out of it with 3 rounds to go. But with Leclerc missing the main event and 26 points on the table, it's going to at least give Seabolt a chance to kind of pull it back within a semi-relevant range if he's able to win this event tonight. As of an uphill battle to get there, though.
So Seabolt and Mitchell both struggling with lackluster starts. Mitchell doing much better than Seabolt after the first 2 laps here. In 6th, Seabolt all the way back. I can't even find him.
11th.
He's back. There you go.
Battle up front between Adam Holm and Bryce Whelan for the race lead. Whelan had the lead at the end of the lap number 1. Looks like Holm is taking it back at the end of lap number 2. Whelan, a multi-time race winner in this 450 class. Holm still looking for his first career Supercross victory. And the pace at the front is scorching. Let's go on board with Whelan here, right behind your race leader.
Definitely applying some pressure, showing him a wheel here and there. Although Holm was quite a bit quicker on lap number 2. We'll see how the lap times stack up as they cross the line to start lap number 4.
59.9 Whelan, 59.9 Holm. They're matching each other.
59.7 in third, closed up a tiny amount.
I think all these guys sense the opportunity. Leclerc has kind of been whipping up on some of these guys through most of the year. These guys are thinking, man, I have a chance at a win here. This is going to be huge.
Something to take note of, Bryce Whelan in second, straight aired the triple.
Yeah, I think I was on board with him. I think what happened was he actually like OJ'd the tire tap before it, and so it caused him to hit the single on the way out, and so he had to seat bounce the Supercross triple to even clear it.
Got it. Sometimes you see that it's a sign of being nervous. But he doesn't look very nervous the rest of the lap, so I think you're onto something.
Yeah, he's got some good lines
to the inside,
working.
looking for the lead here.
Well, he's looking inside. Backed out of it, as you said, but it is still so close between these two out front. And Blakely, as you mentioned, putting in good laps behind them, is keeping it close. Still just 2 seconds back and is going to close up even more on Whelan, who just made a small mistake. Can't keep out Mullins or Mitchell. Also back there, Seabolt up to 7th now. As they run, Mitchell would not take over the points lead, but he would get within a couple points of Leclerc. Oh, Whelan getting all out of shape in the whoops. Has Blakely all over him now.
Holm not really able to gap him for how many mistakes were made, and he's going to mess up the last corner and slide out again, and he has to wait.
So just like that, change for the lead. Bryce Whelan goes to the front on lap number 6, and he slides out with the lead. So that puts Blakely to the front. My, oh my.
So now Blakely has been faster than the 2 leaders over the previous laps, so I'd expect him to perhaps charge away a bit here.
Yeah, your 2 frontmen right now looking for their first career Supercross victories. They still have 3/4 of the race to go, but I'm sure they're happy to be out front
and he's
right
down.
now.
He cased the quad on off, and he had the legs fall off.
Another problem these guys already running into are lappers, as Peter Leicht was down right there. And here comes Colton Mitchell as he gets into Blakely. Peter Leicht gets into Blakely, causes him and Cohenauer to go down. Mitchell, fortunate not to fall off the bike, gets passed by Mullins, but gets on the track right behind him. So resetting it is Holm, Whelan, Mullins, Mitchell. And then Seabolt. So here we go. Mitchell and Seabolt, 2nd and 3rd in the championship, entering the night. Need as many points as possible.
This is pretty much a trademark ride for Mitchell and Seabolt, isn't it? Coming from the back, not good starts.
Yeah, but honestly, as Seabolt loses the front wheel in the background, Mitchell has looked like really a shell of himself these last couple of weeks. Has not been really the same Colton Mitchell we saw at the beginning of the season, which was aggressive and fast and challenging. At one point, he was only 3 points back in the championship from Leclerc, and obviously tonight he entered 20 back. It has just been a rough go of it for Mitchell, but suddenly thrust into a position to maybe leave this race with the championship lead as Mullen gets into a lapper, and Mitchell goes on through.
He just put himself into a position to take the lead, didn't he?
Yep. This would be 21 points on the night for Mitchell, which would put him exactly 1 point ahead of Leclerc heading into Salt Lake City next week. Definitely far from over, though. Riders down, couple lappers. It looked like Jack Fowler and Matthias Janis down in the final corner.
And Bryce Whelan over the first corner berm.
Over the last corner berm is Colton Mitchell. So just when he had that spot on lock, he's going to lose some spots.
Wait, is that how Bryce Whelan ended up? Bryce Whelan was on the back side of that berm yet, too, where Colton Mitchell was laying on the front side.
Yeah, I didn't think that Mitchell had made contact with anybody, but maybe.
So Lapper just taking out Bryce Whelan in second.
And so Mitchell goes through. Here is Siebel right behind him, too, and now Whelan is also in the mix. The lap rider right in front of them is Jack Fowler. Different lines behind as Whelan taking a different one than Siebel. They all kind of work out to be pretty similar.
I think the question begs to ask. The question we need to ask here is, what is Fowler's problem with Whelan? As he's still holding him up, he's in the way.
Yeah, there is lap traffic kind of everywhere here. How about Sean Klein on the 10? Second in the championship on the West Coast for the 250 class has suddenly found his way into this battle. Rider down in the final corner is Bryce Whelan. All right, so it is still Adam Holm leading 8.5 minutes in to a 20-minute plus 1 lap race. This has got to feel like the longest race ever for Holm right now. Mullins makes a small bobble in second, but he is all alone right now. Battle for third is a fairly decent one between Siebold and Mitchell. Couple of teammates, both looking for max points on the evening to capitalize on Leclerc's mishap. Nothing changing between them, though. They're both running pretty similar lap times. Klein is the next rider behind them, then Blakely, who is going to have to roll the finish. Carlin, Armstrong, and Whelan also all right in the mix. Jeremy Smith battling with Isaiah Dickerson. I believe that's your battle for 10th, maybe 11th.
11th, 10th and 11th, yes. Isaiah Dickerson jumps off the side of the track.
These guys even are getting into those lappers that we saw earlier. Jack Fowler and Jake Warden, I believe, is the other lapper. Also noticing that the rut out of the corner before the Supercross triple has developed as such that some of these guys are actually able to triple clean out of the corner before the Supercross triple, looking pretty fast. I just saw Whelan do it. Oh, your leader is down. Adam Holm is upside down in the berm, and Mullins gets into him but goes through. Holm is going to get going, still in second, but here comes Mitchell and Seabolt. So that puts Mullins into the race lead. Talked about Mullins entering the night 4th in the championship standings on 229 to Leclerc's 295. So he was just about mathematically eliminated.
Still a lot in play here. Looks like Adam Holm is starting to fall back into the grips of the faster riders that didn't get the good starts. And Jesse Mullins not quite as fast as the duo of Mitchell and Seabolt are.
The only way Mullins wins this championship is by winning out and Leclerc missing the last 2 main events, which is pretty unlikely, but it could happen.
Wilder things may have happened.
So Seabolt, who was, let's see, 62 points back. Or I'm sorry, did that math wrong. 67 points back in the championship. So again, very close to mathematical elimination. 78 points back in the championship is the cutoff for this round as Seabolt goes down.
Now Mitchell's starting to size up Holm for second here.
Sean Klein goes around Seabolt, as does Isaiah Dickerson, who's a lap down. Yeah, but as you said, Mitchell looking for a pass on Holm. Got a little out of shape in the whoops.
And Holm just ran his fastest lap of the race after being pressured by Colton Mitchell there.
See these guys tripling out of this corner. Mitchell just did it so clean. It's like the next lapper that they're going to hit is Mitchell's teammate. Can't tell if it is Hillman or Like. It is Like, and Like moved out of the way there.
Mitchell with a bit of a moment there at the end of that rhythm lane.
Riders down everywhere.
3 lappers in one corner. So Holm stepped up his game here now that he's got Mitchell all over his rear end.
Yeah, they would actually do a little bit of a favor here, just maybe pushing each other, trying to get to Mullins, who so far is... Oh, and he's down just as I start talking about him. Loses the front end over the berm. Holm back to the lead, and Mitchell's down. He's on top of Mullins, and there goes... Well, that's like a lap down. Mitchell will get up. Still in third. Yep. Here's Klein, and then Seabolt over the top of the berm. That is Seabolt in 5th still. So Holm back to the lead. And now suddenly, I'm sure this is creeping into his mind a little bit. He's about 6 minutes and a lap away from his first career Supercross victory. He has some time to work with, so if he makes a few mistakes, he's okay. But more than a few, and suddenly Mullins is back on his rear tire. What this could do is force Mullins to ride a little bit out of his comfort zone to get back to Holm and potentially crash again, which would then allow Mitchell, of course, to get up there. Mitchell wants to win this race. He wants to get as many points towards the championship against Leclerc that he can. If he were able to win this race, he would have a 6-point lead on Leclerc. As it stands,
really, it's kind of a must-win situation to get... Just maximize your advantage. This is your chance to really take take the bull by the horns here, and to not win it would be, I think anything but a win would be a disappointment.
Yep, agreed. So I think really what he's trying to do here is stay on two wheels while he can and hope that maybe Mullins and Holm get together, because he's not close enough to really make any attempts for a pass. But oh, and Mullins is going to go down and he's off the bike. Is Mitchell going to get there in time? I think he's just going to get there as Mullins gets going, and Mullins will hold on to the spot.
Look at him jumping through the whoops now. Track has deteriorated such.
Yep. Kind of cupping the whoops out, making a feasible line to jump through. We got to keep an eye on Sean Klein back here. He's bringing Seabolt with him. But Sean Klein having a tremendous ride right now. All of a sudden they're on the back of Mitchell. Mullins makes a couple mistakes. So Mitchell's still right behind him, and Holm has the biggest lead he has had all night long. Oh, mistake for Mullins. And he's not going to be able to triple out. Here comes Mitchell down the inside. Oh, Mullins cuts the door off, and now Mitchell triples into the next section, and they're side by side. Look at this, they're playing the slow races. Holm was down with the lead, and Mitchell and Mullins might split him. Mitchell to the race lead on Holm, and her lapper down. Look at the
right there too.
4 riders.
And Sean Klein!
Yeah, Klein's right there too. 4 riders all battling for the lead. 4 minutes and a lap to go, and Mitchell has it. My, oh my, what a battle we have on our hands in Foxborough.
Well, Mitchell's been the fastest out of these guys throughout the night, but he has had some issues.
Whew. The pressure is on. Colton Mitchell is 1 crash away from leaving here with a 6-point lead to not even leaving here with the points lead. Riders down in front of him, that is Fowler, who is a lapped rider. Holm really looks like he wants to go back after Mitchell here. Mullins nails the triple in. Does he have a line on Holm? No, he does not. Settles in. Both these guys quadding in as Mitchell is only tripling on off. Kind of sets him up differently. Yeah, Mullins down the inside, makes a pass on Holm. Holm trying to fight back down around the outside, but we'll have to concede that position as Mullins blocks the line off and still gets the Supercross triple. Yeah.
Didn't lose too much time with that.
Klein still sitting right there, just hoping these guys run into each other, make a mistake, anything that allows them to get through. He'd also be looking to pick up his first career 450 main event victory. Man, these lines are getting so cupped out. The ruts are very deep in the first corners. Holm makes a small bobble. Loses his touch a little bit with Mullins. Now these guys all tripling in before the Supercross triple. And again, we'll see different lines. Mitchell on off. Mullins goes quad, triple. Ends up being pretty much the same, but Mullins has been working on this inside line, and because of the way the whoops have been getting cupped out, it's starting to work.
Yes, it is. It's just going to say the same thing.
Oh, he's into Blakely, and Mullins is off the bike. Holm goes through. Klein goes through. That is Reed Young a lap down. No sign of Seabolt. Oh, Mullins has got to be fuming at this point. He really probably thinks he should be the race winner on this one.
He could have been a slight bit more patient with Blakely there, as Blakely was just getting up from a crash, so I'm sure he didn't have the blue flag quite yet.
Right. Either way, unfortunate scenario for Mullins. Man, Adam Holm wants to win his first Supercross so bad.
He's kept Colton Mitchell honest so far in this run. I thought that Mitchell might be able to get away from him a little bit.
Yeah. Mitchell's making quite a few mistakes. He's not hitting his marks, that's for sure. And Holm is starting to close this thing back up. They are probably coming to 2 laps to go this time by. And it is still up in the air. Holm could get up here and win this thing.
Mitchell's starting to struggle with the track a little bit. He's not adapting well enough. So 2 laps to go, 19 and a half minutes or so in.
So the white flag will be out next time by. These guys are hitting a couple kickers coming into that corner now. Also lots of bumps coming into this first corner. They're down to the plywood there.
Mitchell missed the entry to the first corner, allowing Holm to close up a little bit more yet.
Oh man, white flag is going to be waving next time by. Mitchell, little bobble on the entry, but able to corral it together and get the line clean out. So actually kind of opens up a little bit more of a gap than he had. Out of shape in the whoops.
At the end of the whoops. Won't be able to triple.
Holm over the top.
Into the lead.
Got him. Adam Holm to the lead. First Supercross victory awaits Adam Holm if he can hold on for one more lap in Foxborough. Sean Klein a distant third at the moment. Colton Mitchell wants to, he needs to win this race as the white flag waves. Is he thinking about saving though? Is he thinking about he would pick up much needed 23 points towards the championship, have a 3-point lead on Leclerc, or is he gonna go for it? Let's see. Triples in clean here. Does he cut underneath? Holm looks like he cased a triple, but Mitchell settles back in. Holm quadding in off the track, gets back on safely, but he cases the quad.
Mitchell's got a fall-off crash in hand here. He's got 15 seconds back to third. He can go for it.
Holm out of sorts in the whoops, but corrals it together. Out of shape on the Supercross triple. Mitchell is just not looking at making a move just yet. Thought about it there. It's going to be in the final corner. If anything, Holm hits a lapper. Mitchell around the outside. It's for the win. They get together and Mitchell's over the berm. Who's going to get up first? Mitchell's looking like he's going to get up. And from off the track, oh, Holm gets the win. 0.3 of a second in it, and Holm gets the win. Wow. Oh, and Siebold into Klein in the final corner. Siebold picks up third in the final corner. Klein slips to fourth. Mullins ends up fifth. Oh my goodness, it doesn't get much more dramatic than the final corner takeout for the victory. Woo! Could still come down to cuts, I should say. We saw Adam Holm. He went off the track once on the final lap for sure. As Carlin's down in the final corner, he is not going to lose a spot. He will get 8th no matter what.
And Bryce wheeling to finish, it looks like.
Yeah, wheeling in 9th. Is this going to be where cuts factor in? Not quite. We're waiting on what? 12th and 13th to cross.
It's like Matthias Janis is in the second whoop section. So we will wait.
Oh man, the suspense is killing me. This is the difference. This is the difference between a 3-point lead or a 6-point lead leaving here, and it stays a 3-point lead. Adam Holm has won his first career 450 Supercross main event in Foxborough after an amazing battle with Colton Mitchell to the line. Does it get any better than that, Mark?
I'm not sure. Do you think that Adam would have made the final corner, stayed on the track if Colton weren't there?
Debatable. I mean, he definitely sent it in, no doubt about it, but that was what it is all about. The last lap pass for the victory. Woo! Can't believe it. Leclerc misses the main event. We have a new points leader as Colton Mitchell will pick up second place points, 23 points to leave here with a 3-point lead. But Adam Holm has picked up his first career 450 Supercross victory in Foxborough, and with a tremendous battle to boot. I'm going to catch my breath from that one.
That was a fine piece of riding by Adam Holm all the way through the main event. I mean, it did come down to the last corner where he went in for the kill, but I mean, in that situation, who wouldn't? That was he was up there. He earned the position to get that chance at Colton in the last corner to hold it off. And in his defense, he did clip a lapper coming over the small double to enter the whoop section. So He was a little bit out of sorts coming into there.
Whew. Man, oh man, that was That was a race and a half for you folks watching live here on Twitch and YouTube, and I hope we put on a great show for y'all. Big shout out to MotoOption Clothing versus PC.com, Race Tech Suspension, FamiMX Designs, MXS EMF, Squid Squad, MXS Servers, and anybody else I'm forgetting, of course, that helps to put on this series. A tremendous night of racing in Foxborough, and it's only going to get more intense heading into next weekend's battle in Salt Lake City. Mark Zeidler, thank you for joining me. I hope you had fun tonight.
I definitely did. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it was a great night of racing in Foxborough. So for myself, Mark Zeidler, and all of us here at Start Your Systems, we'd like to thank you for joining us for round 15 of the MotoOption Supercross series, live here on SYS TV. We'll see you guys next week in Salt Lake City.